Is Facebook listening to your conversations?
You know, if you're in Vietnam and want to know about business, actually, if you're anywhere and want to know about business, you might want to check out Tom Peng. He doesn't fuck around. Yeah, Tom Peng. He's A-OK. Peace.
You know, one of the urban legends that I've heard recently, and actually I heard this from years ago from my digital marketing team, because they're not too bright. And they would say something like, Tom, Facebook can listen to our conversations. Even, you're not using Facebook, they can eavesdrop on your conversation and they can use that information to, drive better ads to, you. And I'm like, well, that just didn't sound right. I mean, it just didn't make any sense, right? I mean, just, being a rational, logical person, I know that Facebook could not possibly do that for many different reasons. One is legal. Governments around the world will not allow Facebook to eavesdrop on your conversation. Okay, that's one. All right, and second is corporate ethics, corporate, image. Facebook will not do that because if they did that, imagine what the public would do. Or they'll probably boycott Facebook. Corporate ethics and public relations will not allow Facebook to do that. And third, of course, there's another reason, and that is technical, right? In order to access the microphone on the phone, you actually need permission, right? So sometimes when you install an app, they ask you for permissions, right? You need explicit permissions to access certain hardwares on this device. And also, developers cannot just access the microphone anytime they want. Both Android and iOS operating systems are very careful in protecting the user's privacy rights. And the camera, the microphone are very restricted to applications to use. You need permissions and you need to use it at the right time. And of course, there are malicious apps that will hack this kind of stuff, but I will say generally, Facebook would not do that, right? I think that it's like believing in ghosts, right? So people see some, shadows, they hear some ghost stories, and, then they believe it must be true. And I keep on seeing, digital marketers in Vietnam that believe in such rubbish, right? They would come to me and say, Tom, Facebook can listen to your conversations. I'm like, fucking bullshit. It's not true. You're just believing some urban legend that's not even true. It cannot be true. If you don't believe me, Google it, research it. Facebook does not do that. They would never do that. And of course, there's another theory, and that is maybe the governments are using Facebook, to eavesdrop, to listen to, their citizens. Well, I would say that's also quite impossible because let me tell you this, governments do not need Facebook, okay? Facebook is not a very good way to spy on its citizens. I'm not going to get into too much of that today, but I can assure you that governments of the world, CIA, FBI, NSA, or Canadian CSIS, or the secret intelligence services, all those organizations, they have much better tools to hack into their citizens. And it's all very well documented. If you really look for that information, you can find it, right? So yeah, governments don't need Facebook. As a matter of fact, the US government is trying to limit what Facebook can do. If you actually read the news, you would know that the US government wants to restrict Facebook's reach to its users because they don't want Facebook to access too much of their user data. Basically, people, right? So there's a lot of senatorial hearings in Washington, D.C., trying to get, Mark Zuckerberg to admit that they did something wrong. There's a lot of hearings like that if you watch the news, right? I would say, if you believe that Facebook can listen to your conversation, you're an idiot. Go Google it. It's not true. Don't be an idiot. Not everything you hear is true. Don't be a fucktard, and of course, take some fucking action.